Welcome back to another trip, man. Y'all here with Tryppy Joker, Tryppy Belly.
And bro, we're here with Bryce Cosby, bro. Go ahead and tell him about yourself.
Yeah, my name Bryce Cosby. Born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky. Currently playing the CFL in Canada for the Montreal Alouettes. So yeah, like I told y'all before, it's first podcast I done did. So appreciate y'all having me.
For sure, bro. What high school did you go to?
I went to Manhood.
Man, yes, sir.
Yeah.
So what position you play?
I played DB. So when I was in college, I played safety. Safety and was considered nickel. So safety or nickel either or. But I'm kind of a chess piece for most of the places I done been thus far. They've placed me in a couple different positions. So I would say I'm versatile. But people ask, I just say I play DB because I played a lot of different positions in the secondary. So yeah.
Yes, sir. Would you consider DB is the hardest position?
Yeah, it's definitely a debate, or argument. I feel like it's between DB and quarterback. Quarterback, I mean, it's just a lot of process and a lot of quick decisions that could essentially determine the fate of the game in some situations. But DB, we playing the game backwards. Everybody else playing the game forward.
Right. You got to mimic what the wide receiver does.
Yeah, you going against arguably the most athletic dudes in the field. It's either they short and fast, or they tall and they can jump, or they tall and can do it all. You coming across some freaks, and then even after that, say you do your job and you guard your man, and that you check that box. Running back might break free, and now you got to tackle a 200-pound back. And if you don't make the tackle, just where we at in line with the defense being the back line, it's probably gonna be a touchdown. So, it just comes with the territory, but I love it. You know what I'm saying? It makes when you do make plays, that adrenaline rush because you sometimes at a disadvantage out there. So I enjoy the pressure and the challenges that come with it. It's something you got to embrace. So that's what I try to do.
So what techniques would you recommend DBs?
I think as far as just younger dudes and guys that's just learning to play DB, I would say just hone in on your footwork first. I think a lot you guard people with your eyes and your feet, and so eyes meaning making sure your eyes in the right place, right on your keys and whatnot. But I think that's what kind of laid the foundation of me playing a position. I got two trainers. One I kind of grew up with, Chris Peters. He was my middle school football coach, and then now I've been working with him for a while. And somebody I trust with my game wholeheartedly, Chris Vaughn at Aspirations Fitness. Both of those guys have really honed in on just my, like I said, footwork. Short area quickness, things of that nature, being explosive. Being strong and whatnot. But as far as young guys, I would just simple stuff as far as ladder drills, cone drills. Looking stuff up on the internet. Some of these guys that you look up to, I'm pretty sure they post workout videos and whatnot, taking bits and pieces of everybody and, making your own product. So, but I would say, the foundation, I would say, is just focusing on your footwork and your speed.
Right, yes, sir.
So when you got to the Montreal Alouettes, what was the process and the transition from going from the Oakland Raiders?
It was a lot. It was actually a crazy experience. I got released by Vegas, I want to say in August of 2023. And so, at the time I still had aspirations to just, getting a call from another team in the league. And I honestly thought that was going to be the case, but, time went by, that didn't happen. And so, me and my agent were in talks and kind of expressed the options of playing in other leagues. And there was really just one or two options, which was the UFL or the CFL.
Right.
And, honestly, I just didn't get the opportunity in the UFL. It was calls here and there, but nothing really came into fruition. And, I got to a point where I was just ready to play ball again. I was dealing with a lot, mentally, just not having played pretty much a whole calendar year. That was the first time that's happened since I was in elementary school, you feel me? So just not being in that routine was definitely playing with my mental, and it was just a lot to deal with at the time. But in the long run, it definitely helped me. Just another thing to add to the arsenal as far as just things that's kind of put a chip on my shoulder. But my agent kind of had somebody in my agency that was already signed to Montreal.
Yeah.
He was like, we got a guy that, I think is interested in playing out here too. You all should take a look at him. Byron Archambault, he's our special teams coach. He he ended up getting in contact with me. We had a good conversation. We kind of hit it off. He just gave me the rundown of what to expect out there, and like I said, I was just ready to play ball. So, it kind of checked all the boxes as far as what I was looking for at the time, which was just a opportunity, a fair shot. They ensured me that, and the rest is history as far as me just putting pen to paper. And I was out there in May of last year, so about a year ago from where we are today. So,
Yes, sir.
How important was your support system during those times?
Extremely important. I could go on and on about my support system. Something I don't take lightly, and I can honestly say I wouldn't be here without them. I think a lot of people. I am different in the sense that I do think I have a different work ethic. I have a different mindset, but another thing that's different that got me in the position that I am today compared to those who maybe unfortunately couldn't get in this position was, like I said, I had a great support system. I had family members, close friends, people that really invested in me to get to the point to where I am today, whether that be sending me to camps, just doing all the extracurricular. But it goes hand in hand because this was something I genuinely wanted to do from a young age. And I'm a firm believer that if you do the work on your end and show a real effort and real want to towards something you're passionate about, I feel like God will put people in your life to help put you in that position. It's still real work you got to do on your end. But like I said, this was something that, it was easy to tell as a young kid, like, okay, he's serious about this. Like a lot of stuff, I was looking up camps, on this one, you had a home desktop at the crib. So we all pretty much sharing a computer, but I'm looking up football camps on the computer at home, showing my mom and my aunt, you know what I'm saying? Looking up just pretty much whatever resources I could, being a sponge. But like I said, my support system was everything. If I didn't have them when times was going good, and even more importantly when times was going bad, none of this would be possible. So in that time though, I definitely leaned on them. That was the only thing that really got me through it was, them staying in my ear, saying, we're gonna stay right here because, it's been a 15-year process at this point. So, my real support system, they've seen all the peaks and valleys of it. So, they know what I put into it. And, they just stood by me to make sure I didn't give up.
Yeah, and even with your work ethic, man, dogs eat anywhere. You can go anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
If you're a dog, you gonna get it.
Nah, for sure. And I've just always had that mentality, like, through hell and high water, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna go get it, like you said. That's just been a story of my life. I went to Ball State. It's not the biggest university in the world, but
that's
made the
Ball
most.
State. That's Ball State, though.
Yeah, nah, for sure. But we just made the most of the opportunity that I had when I was there, and I think when I got there and by the time I left, the way people looked at Ball State, and this just isn't me. I went there with a lot of great guys, but I'm saying I was a part of something bigger than myself. I think I would say I had an impact on that. But the way that school was looked at from when I got there to when I left is, I feel like night and day. We was a laughing stock when I got there and I left. Definitely had a lot more respect. And like I said, I feel like I played a factor in that. But like you said, people, you can get it from anywhere. It's just all mentality and just your approach to the situation. So,
what was your emotions like when you won that championship at Ball State?
Crazy, man, because like I said, when we got there, it's pretty much a new coaching staff that had brought us in. They had only been there for a year when I got there as a freshman. So we was really their first recruiting class, and like I said, things was so at the time. They was a pretty average program just by statistics and wins and losses. But they pretty much told a lot of the guys that I came in with, if you guys come in and do what you need to do, you can play right away. Which, they held true on that promise. Came in, worked hard, got to play right away. But honestly, just probably a lot of us didn't even be playing that much. We could play, but a lot of us was in starting roles, and we was getting our ass kicked, to be quite frank with you. And that was a tough year. We only won 2 games, and so it didn't get much better the next year. We only won 4 games, and the year after that, we only won 5 games. And so, but the year we won 5 games, which is my 3rd year, we lost a lot of close games. Like my freshman year was getting blown out every week. So when we won that championship, it was just like a full circle moment. Like I said, we can all remember as freshmen, like getting beat 63-7 in the middle of November, and like everybody's ready to just go home at this point. If I'm being honest with y'all, and so when we won the championship, that was 2020. It was just a surreal moment, and honestly, probably the last of a dying breed as far as like we didn't have NIL and the transfer portal was a thing, but it was just it still it had traction, but like my class, a lot of us was there all 4 years. Like people transferred, but we still had like a core group of guys, so felt like a real team, And so it was just looking back on it, just a nostalgic feeling, something I'll never forget. And at that point, I would say it was probably my biggest accomplishment. Like I said, just being a leader on that team, everything we had to endure from my freshman year on, I think that was something I'll forever hang my hat on. For sure, just as far as just something I sacrificed for, withstood a storm, and came out on top of.
So do you feel like football is very critical for a boy to become a man?
For sure. That's a good question. I mean, it's a lot of things that I feel like, you know, it takes to be a man. I'm still trying to figure it out myself. I'm not sitting here talking to y'all like I got it figured out, but I do think football is just a direct correlation to life. I can sit here and tell y'all, I've had to sacrifice for football. I've worked hard and still came up short. I've had to address fears in the game of football. I've had to get uncomfortable in the game of football. I've been cultured in so many ways and build relationships with people all across not just the United States, all across the world now that I'm playing in Canada. But like I said, it's a direct correlation to life. And it's brutally honest and it's a humbling game. If you don't prepare every offseason or you don't come out there with it on your mind, it's another man who does have it on his mind.
That's why football is my favorite sport. My coach National, he used to tell me football ain't no offseason. He says 12 months a year.
Yeah. Like you can't be halfway in, halfway out. Like because when you step between those lines, I don't want to compare it to war, but you know what I mean. Like it's like that out there. And so you got to be wired a certain way and pretty much be ready for what comes with football itself. But like you said, as far as just how it correlates to being a man, it's just like I said, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of, like I said, it's humbling. I didn't gave out some L's and I didn't receive some L's too. It's all a part of the game. But each and every time I'm gonna get up on my 10, head high, you know what I'm saying, win or loss, and you gotta line it up and do it all again the next play. And I think that's life. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have some wins in it, you're gonna have some losses in it. But without the losses, you can't appreciate the wins at all. And so for me, any young man, I would definitely push to play football, but to each his own.
Yes, sir.
So what's some of your future aspirations outside of football?
Honestly, I thought about this a lot when I was in college, just as far as what life after football means for me. And this is always like hard when you're in it, because like we was just talking about, you got to be fully engulfed in it. But I know football is a young man's game, and so I'm 26 now. I'm knowing I've got more years behind me as far as times I play football than ahead of me. But I think for me, man, I think it's honestly coaching is something that's always intrigued me. And not just because that's the cliche thing to do, and most football players, when they're done, they go coach, because just because you can play don't mean you can coach, and just because you didn't play don't mean you can't coach. Can you articulate the game for someone to understand it and put it to action and have success in their own way. And I think I can do that. And bigger than that, like you said, just impacting young men. I know the impact that coaches have had on me in the past, from the time I was playing in Little League to now being a professional. And, it's a lot of men I can lean back on to this day through this game of football that I call a coach at one point, but are really mentors and, men that I can lean on for things deeper than football. And so that's something that has always intrigued me at this point, just being able to give back. My dad always told me, what's your gift if you don't give it back to anybody? And, I feel like, no, for sure. I feel like I feel like I'm a natural born leader, and people gravitate towards me in a good way, and I don't abuse that. You know what I'm saying? I try to, if I can, lead people in the right direction, and just do my best to try to be the example. But outside of coaching, I've always liked writing, and so started to entertain the thought of possibly writing a book one day. I don't know. My grandmother, she's been hounding me like, I think you should really write a book. And I'm like, I hear you, Grandma. I got you. But
just put in your notes as you go.
Exactly, bro. Because the reality of it is we're going to get old one day. And stuff that's fresh now, I might forget along the way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I want to make sure, I keep, because I've been through a lot, you know what I'm saying? So, I want to make sure I keep, like you said, keep it fresh, keep something where I can keep it all noted and whatnot. But, I don't find any of that coincidental, like my grandmother saying stuff like that. And, I've had other people say the same thing. Like, I think you should write. You got something to talk about. And like I said, I know how to write and I can articulate myself. It's something I feel like I'm good at. I was always good in English in school. So, coaching, writing, before coaching, I wanted to be like, possibly in the sports commentating. I just don't know if I can ever get to a position to where people are pretty much pushing the agenda of what I got to talk about or, telling me what I can and cannot say.
Let me stop you right there. You got to shift your mentality because you are in a position that people want to listen to. You made it to the NFL.
For sure.
You are in the CFL. That's a shift that most people can't make. They get banned, they get cut. Right. Don't, you feel me? Shift to another team. Right. Yeah. You got a hella story to write about that people don't display. Like I didn't know what the CFL was, so I would be interested. Like, okay, what's his story about? You feel me? And show
like
my city
for sure. And it's a new lane. Like y'all doing it. So you know what I'm saying? Like you don't need to go on the news or ESPN no more. That's the beauty of like the podcast space. Is like if you feel like you got something to talk about, you can talk about it, and nobody can tell you or put any limits on it. So you're right, bro. Damn, what anybody? No, I'm just playing. But just just somewhere I could tell my story, whether that's in a book, on a podcast, and then like I said, possibly coaching when I'm done. But right now, those are really the only two things that really pique my interest. Really, just get in a position where I can make an impact, be a leader, take care of my family. That's the only three things. And I mean, I'm a God-fearing man, but outside of them three things, that's all that matters to me.
Yeah, I feel that. Everything my grandmother tell me, and I listen, because I tell you, like my grandmother, she's like the only person that really inspired me. You feel me? If I'm feeling down or doubted or something, man, I talk to my grandmama. Hey, boy, you better keep on going. You better push that shit. You feel me?
Now we all need somebody, bro. We all need somebody to, like you said, give us that extra push in the back, and that's the support system that we talking about.
All right, so bro, I want you to tell us now about the male Emmanuel rival, bro. Who was the last one to get the borough?
Nah, I mean, I could sit here humbly and say like I was never on the winning end of that as far as we won in my freshman year, but I didn't play. Like I was dressed and whatnot, but I didn't touch the field, so it didn't do nothing for me as far as like it was cool to be a part of, and like it gave me like okay, this is what it's all about, but I didn't contribute to the win, so
What's up?
it is what it is. My sophomore year, my collarbone was broke, so I wasn't playing. I wasn't even like dressed out for that game. It was a close game. We lost. My junior year, they scraped us. That's the year they won state. But honestly,
was that
that
2016?
game. No, that was 2015. 2016 is my senior year, but 2015, I scored the only touchdown in the game. I was on defense. I had a pick six, but I feel like that's the play that really got me on, though.
Facts. Hey, it's all a blessing. All falls in line.
I feel like
all it takes is that one play, one moment to just.
I feel like you said, even though we got blown out, I feel like that's the play that really got me on. Yeah, you really big picture. It definitely helped me out. But because it was crazy. I should have had two. I dropped one earlier in the game. Shout out my dog, Amari Alexander. He's like, you gonna get another one? Just stay with it, bro. I'm telling you.
Yes, sir.
Soon enough, couple possessions later, they pretty much same play. Picked it, cribbed it, but we got blown out. Then my senior year, it was a good game, but we lost by like a touchdown or two. Shout out my dog Nate House. We be talking about this all the time too. But the middleman, your rivalry was realer than real.
Man, that was my favorite in the city, bro.
Yeah, we all cordial and cool now, but like when we was in high school, like we didn't really rock with them outside of football, outside of school, or in it. And so, but like you know what I'm saying. When I was in high school, they had the one end of the stick. I can say that now. I mean, I done matured, you know what I'm saying. But it was a good rivalry to be a part of as far as just the seriousness of it and everything that came with like the events during school, like the Spirit Week and just people decorating the hallways and whatnot. Like, I tell young dudes, I done played in the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, Raiders Stadium, Penn State, Notre Dame. I ain't never felt nothing like playing before Mill Manual because it's like everybody in your cities.
That's them days.
Everybody in your cities have to get my barber's here. The girl I like in class is here. All my peoples that stay in Louisville's here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can wear my manual stuff to a local gym. OG walk up on me. He don't know nothing. Oh, you got a manual? What y'all gonna do against Mel this year? That's all he gonna know about. So, that Mel manual, that robbery was serious. And I love everything that come with it. But I wasn't able to get too many wins out of that when I was in high school.
It's a lot of legendary football in Louisville, bro. Yeah, you feel me? Hopefully through Tryppy we can bring more awareness to athletes. For sure. And we can, you feel me, boost the recruitment here, bro, because so many people should be killed.
Nah, for sure. Like,
still playing.
In my class alone, I don't think any of us got an offer from Louisville. I mean, you got me, who I went undrafted to the Raiders. You got Desmond Ritter, who got drafted like second round to the Falcons. You got Nate Hobbs drafted to the Raiders. And none of I can't really think of anybody in my class. It might have been a couple dudes, but like nobody from the city though.
Louisville do better, man. Come and recruit us.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? Brom, he's there now. He's doing his due diligence. But they wasn't really showing us no love when we was in high school. Like, and when I got to college, like you'll see other dudes will show you their high school highlights. And you'll be like they'll be from a bigger state, you know what I'm saying? But I'll be like, who are y'all playing, bro? Like, I'm watching this tape, like, you know what I'm saying? We wasn't playing, dude. Like, we had a couple teams that you might be able to, but like, when you seen Mill, St. X, Trinity.
Y'all stacked.
Yeah, it's gonna be that. So, but nah, I mean, like you said, I think there's a lot of talent in this city, and it does need to be a light shed here. And I think it has changed definitely since I came out. Like, a lot of young dudes is going to schools that. Like, there was a dude, he went to UCF, Central Florida. Like, he was in high school. UCF wasn't coming out here, to, you know what I'm saying? So, it's definitely improving. So, I love to see that.
I can definitely relate to your story in high school, bro. I ain't touched varsity till June. Because I kept getting hurt.
Yep. So, that's tough, bro. That's just football, though, for you. Like, it's a part of it.
Bro, what's your message to all the YNs out here, bro?
Like, YNs, like
we got the YNs. Every time they strap up, strap somebody up. What's up with the YNs? All the flags,
all the celebrations.
Nah,
so message to they got that.
I can't say too much because I'll be flashing out myself. Like, I don't be doing all that, but I will flash out. But I mean, it's just like. Like anybody will say, like, just make sure your play is backing up whatever you out there talking. I'm not one to say don't talk because, like I said, I'll talk myself if I feel like I need to. But it's a time and a place, and more than anything, like right now, say you in high school, like, just fall in love with the game right now. Like, don't get too infatuated with what the pros got going on. I can think back when I was in high school, like. Obviously, some of these pros at the time, like these are dudes you look up to and you trying to emulate, but you didn't see what they was doing. They was your age. Right. And what they did prior to get to that point. Like, it's really a process and it's levels to this thing. So, be where your feet are, as I like to say, and just don't get too high, too low on anything. As far as just the antics, you know what I'm saying? Keep the game, you know what I'm saying? Go out there, do what you love, but don't overdo it with anything. You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying don't celebrate.
So, man, I want you to tell us who is your favorite DB of all time.
It's easy, man. Tyrann Mathieu. I ain't gonna lie.
So what's
about Honey Badger?
Honey Badger, yeah. Nah, it was just growing up. Like I said, my dad he played, and so he was obviously influential in me playing. But, he used to always tell me, like, find somebody that you naturally gravitate towards that game and watch what they do. And so he's also, you said, like, that's not coincidental as far as like whatever's game you gravitate towards too. It's like an artist with music. Whatever's music you like, you know what I'm saying? There's a deeper underlying, you know what I'm saying, meaning behind that. So yeah, I came across Tyrann Mathieu when I was like early in high school, and
he got that dog in you, bro.
Yeah, he's got that pit. You know what I'm saying? We're pretty much the same measurables. Like, he ain't the biggest dude, but they move him around in the secondary. And so when I see what he was doing, I was like, I feel like I can do that. He plays with a type of swagger and energy that I like to play with. And so he wore 7 in college. I wore 7 in high school because he wore 7 in college. He had the blonde mohawk. I ain't go blonde, but I went mohawk.
Yeah, yes, sir.
And so yeah, he was just super influential, just as far as just the swag. They like to use the word aura these days. Like, he had it. You feel me? I ain't gonna lie.
He was dripped in. He was one of the first to.
Come on.
He inspired other niggas.
Like, come on. So
through generations.
yeah, like when I seen just how he was getting down out there, I was like, yeah, that's my guy. So like, even when I made it to the league and all, like, that never changed as far as, he's always been probably my favorite DB to this day. But it's other ones: Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu, Prime, Charles Woodson. But as far as just like had the biggest impact on me, it'd be Tyrann Mathieu.
Bro, Jalen Ramsey for me, bro.
Yeah, not Jalen Ramsey.
I think he's the best of all time, bro.
He got a debate for as far as like
just because Deion Sanders being the greatest corner of all time to me. He said, I remember him saying a time where Jalen Ramsey is the best corner in the NFL, and I was like, all right. You feel me? I'll take his word for it.
Yeah, nah, he definitely another one that's been like there's like Sherman and then him as far as like people who really polarizing figures in the league as far as DB. I feel like them two definitely took the crown, but there's some guys out there for sure. But for me, it was Tyrann.
Shout out Tyrann Mathieu, bro. Hey, we have reached our destination. And it was a great trip, bro. We thank you, bro, Bryce Cosby, bro. And Broski.
Appreciate y'all.
Your athleticism, bro, has taken you a long way, along with your support, bro. We're on a great trip, bro. Thank you for that. It was astronomical. Y'all go check out his content, bro. I'm pretty sure you got some mixtapes, don't you? The DB.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, link in the bio.
Go check out his DB mixtapes, bro. He's clamping shit out.
You talking about rapping? I'm like, nah.
I'm talking about the DB mixtapes, bro. I know you kicking on them, bro. Yeah, y'all go check it out, bro. Check out his highlights. Y'all go like and subscribe, bro. Hit the link, bro. Like, subscribe, comment your favorite part of the video and your favorite aspirations of Bryce Cosby, man. Peace. Well.